Good morning, everybody. Ooh, it's gone a bit chilly. Oh my goodness, our weather, bye Poppy, our weather is being such a pickle at the moment. What a contrast to a couple of days ago when I was filming the April tour, taking a little bit of time out to just sit on the deck, enjoy the sunshine and the quiet and the beautiful warmth. It didn't last. So, at the moment, so this is a couple of days later, and at the moment it's about 5 degrees centigrade out there, which is actually quite chilly for this time of year. We'd be more used to something like sort of 12, 13. So then yesterday we had all that lovely rain, which I'm hoping is going to help me do that last little bit of prep for the beds that I'm going to plant today, which I'll show you, of course. Yeah, it wasn't pelting rain, it was kind of sort of gentle rain all day, the perfect kind of rain for my soil. It's just enough to soften it and make it a bit more workable so I can get a bit of a finer tilt to it. But in other parts of the country, in the north, people have been having snow and massive hailstorms. So this little miniature cold snap we're having at the moment, tonight's going to be really chilly again, probably down to 0, but then we are warming up again and getting back to something like normal with nighttime temperatures hovering around 5 or 6 degrees C. One of the reasons I'm telling you this, I know us Brits, we seem to be obsessed with weather, don't we? Of course we are, because we're gardeners and it influences what we're going to be getting up to in the garden, what we can expect. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned over the years is you just have to be flexible with your plans. Let me get rid of this frog. Yeah, you have to be flexible with your plans in the garden. So, for example, today I was planning to sow the parsnips and carrot seed. I'm going to hold off a few days. There's no point putting them in today. The ground is going to be sort of cold and damp. They won't like it. In about a week or so, actually even in a few days, it'll be warm enough again to think about getting them in. However, I am still going to plant my onion sets today and my main crop potatoes because they won't mind it being a bit chilly. And like I say, in the next, sort of within 24 hours or so, we should be starting to get warm again. Oh, we do love the weather, don't we? So, I think what I'm going to do for now, because I'm quite chilly, before I even show you, I'm going to go and do some work out there with my cultivator and rake and just get going a bit, get myself warmed up, and then I'll come and have you all join me to see what I'm up to. Oh, and it's definitely going to be a day for wellies. I'm going to pop my wellies on in a second, but I was thinking for the next couple of days to show a little bit of solidarity with my New Zealand friends, I'm going to be calling them gumboots. And everyone in New Zealand will know why. So good on yous. I'm going to be in gumboots for a few days, not wellies. Right. Time to get cracking. I'm so chilly. That rain has done me such a favour. This is nigh on perfect for working now. Still requires a little bit of effort. Rome wasn't built in a day. So, initially, when I uncovered this bed, I did have to fork it all over because it got quite compact by the rain, despite it being covered with my autumn debris. So I gave it a bit of a forking, and now, sorry, I just keep seeing stones, they're coming out. And then all I'll do now is use my lovely little 3-pronged cultivator, and all I do is sort of a bit of a chopping and lifting action, just to get the really sort of the big lumps and bumps out, aerate the soil a little bit. It'll toss up any stones as well that are just sitting in the surface. Every now and again I get a few lumps like this which are still the cultivator's missed, so I'll just give them a crumble in my fingers. Like I say, they're at that perfect level of wetness, as in that gentle rain yesterday has just made them soften up from being the little boulders they turned into from the sun over the last few days. But it's not wet, like sort of sticky wet. So I'll do the two beds, these two beds like this now. I might actually do the carrot parsnip bed while I'm at it, even though I'm not sowing today, while I'm in the mood for being physical. I do swap arms quite regularly, just so that as one set of muscles fatigue, swap and do it with the others, and then in theory I can keep going all day. So anyway, once I've done that with these beds, then I'll just come back over them with the rake. Just invariably I always seem to end up with more soil at that end of the bed than this end of the bed, so I'll just give it all a rake over, sort of scoop it slightly up away from the edges of the grass paths, and then it'll be pretty much ready for planting. Yay! Oh, and I want to just give you a closer up shot so you can see what I mean about putting the chicken poo on before rain. Give me a sec, I'm going to bring you over. So this is just a bit of a close up of the chicken poo, and some of you may not have used the dried chicken manure pellets before, but it's always wise to get them on just before there's rain, because it just helps to dissolve, is that the right word? Not dissolve. It just sort of helps to sort of reconstitute them. So as I'm going along with the cultivator now, that's just going to all get tickled in a bit, which will be a really nice feed for my onions over the next few weeks. I think the birds are happy that it stopped raining. So this first bed is just about ready for planting with onions now. And before I get on to the next one, I just wanted to show you the two of them side by side for contrast, to see why I do bother doing this work that I've done this morning, because it is a bit of an effort. But, I mean, you can see how lumpy and bumpy this is, and as I was explaining the other day, there are lumps so big I wouldn't be able to get a set into it, and then there are great big pockets of no soil between lumps, which basically the set would fall through. So the idea of getting it down to a much finer till like this is that when I do plant, they've got really, really good contact with the soil. So yes, a little bit of an effort. Obviously, if you're no dig, you just go out and buy a load of compost and chuck it on here and plant straight into your compost. But it would be rather too expensive for me to do it that way. So I stick with a bit of the cultivator, a bit of rake, and sometimes a bit of a scrudge of lumps between my fingers. Okay, let's get planting. There you are. The sun's trying to come out. It's gorgeous. massive black clouds over there though, and we are due some rain, so I really need to get a skedaddle on. Right, so when I received my onion sets, my white onion sets, was about 6 weeks ago. I took them out of the wrapper, spread them out so they wouldn't get all sweaty and start going mouldy, checked for any damaged ones, that sort of thing. Before I plant them, I'm just going to give them all one final check, because there's no point planting them if they're rubbish. Ideally, I would like 4 rows of 25, or itchy schnozzle, or 5 rows of 20, depends which bed I do them in, because my very, very top bed where I had them last year is ever so slightly shorter. So I'm going to divide all of these between 4 pots, and that'll be my 4 rows. I've got a 5th pot, because over here I've got some spares that have been given to me by Gary, which I'll tell you about in a second. So literally all I'm doing is picking them up, giving them a squeeze as I do it, and I'm starting with and going for the biggest, of course. Anyway, I will do this until I have about 100 ready for sowing, but I shan't bore you with the whole thing. Come back in a minute. Okay, so that's my whites divvied out. My white onions I'm planting, as always, I'm doing jet set. They've always worked really well for me. They store really well. Why would I change? And then I've got a few spares just sitting in the end of the basket, just in case I can squeeze a few more in on the end of each row. I'm so greedy, stuff it all in. So, these ones from Gary, these spares, he's given me some called Sturon, not sure how it's pronounced. But, oh, Rusty and Poppy hissing, they're pretty big sets. So, I'll have a few of those, and then this one is called, Stuttgarter Reisen. So I might pop a few of those in too. You might find, as you come to your onion sets now, a few of them look like they are on the cusp of sprouting. Don't worry, plant it anyway. Let me see if I can find a better demonstration. No, because that one's gone soft. That one's gone soft. He's given me his duds. I'm only kidding. There's plenty of good ones in here. Yeah. So if you get a few like that, don't worry, just get them in the ground. All that means is they're dying to get going, so get them in the ground. Right, let's go and plant. Woo! It's the crazy time of April. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I better take some labels actually for these two, because I'm not familiar with them and I will forget if I don't make a label. So, in terms of spacing, I normally give them about 15 centimetres between sets and between rows. So we've got our little teeny tiny set at the moment, but what you want to try and imagine is that adult grown onion, that full-size grown onion, so like the size of a tennis ball. So if I'm planting my sets really closely, can you see, let me tip you down a bit, coming down. Yeah, if I start planting them really too closely, as they start to swell, they've got no space to fatten up and grow. So I like them, like I said, about 15 centimetres apart. And generally what I do before I actually plant them, I just space them out along the whole row like this, because I'm quite a visual person, and I just find that by placing them all on the top of the soil, first of all, and me being able to sort of stand back and have a look, can really gauge whether I've got my spacing right. It's that thing of visualising the height of summer. Let's imagine these in June and July. Oh, I can't wait. Sometimes it feels like summer might be tomorrow, and then other times it feels a million years away. Ah, perfect. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Ooh, do you know what? I'm going to just squeeze one more in on the end. So I'm going to have 5 rows of 20. So hopefully they all grow well. That'll give me 100 onions, which is 2 onions a week for the whole of next year. Right, let's get planting. When I come to plant them, I always like to dib a hole for them. The bottom side, the underside, this is where all the roots are going to come from. The last thing I want to do is just sort of like really hard ram this into the soil, shove it in, and possibly damage that area or ram it into a stone. So I do like to dib a hole and then pretty much bury them. They're about, the very tip is about just a few millimetres below the surface of the soil. 2 reasons. One, hopefully to stop birds plucking them out, and 2, so they don't throw themselves out. It's one of those other lovely, quiet spring jobs to get on with. Apart from the occasional aeroplane, it's just all about the birds today. Slightly back-aching job. There's no point in me sitting on the ground to do it though, because I'd have to be scooting on my bum every 2 minutes. And so on until they're all planted. Happy days. Get these in, and get Gary's ones in. And then it'll be time to prep the bed for the red onions. And then, hopefully, before the rain comes, I can get the spods in. It's getting dark. Ah! Hurry up, Vivi. The sky is getting more and more ominous by the minute. So I'm going to get a wriggle on now. I'm going to pop nets over them all. There we go. Nets for 2 reasons. One, stop the birds pulling on any emerging shoots. But more than that is to stop the foxes from thinking that I've just created them a really beautiful luxury latrine. I've no doubt when I come back in a few days there'll be some fox poo on the top of the nets. They like to leave me little presents. But you know what? We live alongside each other, so we just have to do the best we can as neighbours. Are you coming to inspect the works, Rosie? I hope you're not eyeing up this soil as a latrine, little miss. There'll be trouble. Good, and some bricks for either end so the foxes can't run through it like little agility champions at crafts, which I have seen them do. Oh, my nets are in a knot. You can tell I'm trying to rush now, it's all going a bit. I just want to get as much done today as I can before the next dumping of rain. Anyway, you get the gist. Rather annoyingly, I'm just feeling the first few spots of rain. So I'm just quickly going to get my main crop spuds in. And then, well actually even if it's raining, I can probably carry on getting those beds prepped for the other onions and for the carrots and parsnips. Anyway, let's get these in. So just like with the new potatoes, on each one I'm looking for just 2 or 3 really sturdy chits in the top. Any of the others I'll just rub off. Unlike the new potatoes, I am going to give them considerably more space in the trenches. So there's my 9-10. So it's going to be more like about sort of 12 to 14, 16 inches maybe. Because obviously I want to give them space because I want some nice big spuds out of it. Last year they did struggle because of the drought, but hopefully this year I'll find more stuff, rubbish, whatever, to put on them to act as a mulch, and hopefully, yeah, hold a bit more moisture in. On there. Oh, one more on the end of this row. Then my next lot. Oh, I'm going to use one of these that I cut. Do you remember? I set this potato aside to chit. Funny little spud that it was. And then I've cut it in half so that I've got this piece has got a chit here, and this piece has got these couple of chits. So that should grow okay. Let's pop one of them in. And on the, whoopla, oh my legs are a bit bad today. On the other side, they won't fill the whole row, which that's fine by me. 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So that row will end there. So I'll have about a metre and a half to play with to put something else in. I have to think what else to put in. And exactly the same with the new potatoes. I'm just troweling a hole to get them down as deep as I can, because obviously these trenches aren't dug out as deep as the new potato trenches were. The soil just did not want to play with me that day. But, whoopla. But I can get them a goodly ways down just with the trowel. And then I've still got a bit of earth here to drag over to earth them up. And if needs be, if they're growing taller, faster, whatever than the new potatoes, I could always nick a bit of the mound that's on the new potatoes to use over here. Oh, Oh dear, I've got to say my knees aren't happy today. They're making me a bit groany moany stompy. Oh, never mind. That's what Epsom salt's made for. Oh lordy. I'm doing my impression of a 90-year-old doing the garden. Actually, there are probably 90-year-olds who garden who make considerably less noise than me about it. Oh yeah. Feeling spits and spots of rain. Yeah, hurry up, Vivi. The weather is not playing ball today. It started spitting about an hour ago and it's kind of starting to come down a bit now. So I think it's time to pack up. But that's okay because my bones are weary. But I'm really glad that I grabbed the opportunity to get here today. After having had all of that rain yesterday, because that soil was so much easier to work. So now I've got those 4 beds. They're all completely fine tilthed with the cultivator and the rake. So although I only got the white onions in today, the red onions, that'll be a quick job. I might still do it today in the rain. But then the carrot and the parsnip beds, they're both ready for sowing. So hopefully maybe this weekend. And with the carrots, as I was mentioning way back in January, I am going to try leeks between my carrots again, but this time I'm just going to do them as a little direct sowing, and then I'm just going to harvest them before the leaf miner is around in the autumn, and just have them as a sort of more of like a little skinny spring onion summer veg. I'm also going to try some spring onions this year as well, because I don't normally do any. So all being well, this weekend, carrots, parsnips, leeks and spring onions can go in. Yay! In the rain today, get the red onions in. But at least for now, the white onions are in, the main crop potatoes are in, so all the spuds are in. It really feels like this year is underway now. I've got a load of white sets of my own and some of the ones that Gary had left over. I've still got those left over now, so I've just spotted another plot neighbour on her plot, so I'm going to pop over and see if she'd like some now, because that's what we do as neighbours, isn't it? It all kind of, you know, gets shared around, it goes around, it comes around. So Gary's, I've forgotten the breed already. Not the breed, it's not called a breed, Vivi, that's dogs. Variety, that's the word I was looking for. I've forgotten his variety already. Where was it? Oh yeah, stir on. Yeah, so there may be stir on all over this site this year. Thanks, Gary. Right, well, I think, yeah, it's time for me to... Do you know, I'm going to have a little sit for a minute and see if my legs stop shouting at me. And if they do, I'll whack the red onions in. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to end up getting myself home and cracking on with some indoor stuff. So for now, from me, it's a cheerio to you all, and I hope you are able to make the most of any gaps in your weather too, to get out there and get your fingers in the dirt, especially the dirt that's wet. It smells so good, doesn't it? And yeah, maybe if it's absolutely chucking down and you don't know what to do, get your seed tin out and just check. Just remind yourself of everything that's going to be sown over the course of the next 6 weeks. It's going to be crazy. Bring it on! All right, my lovelies, I will see you all again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves and have some fun out there.